Welcome to Ability MKE Now. My name is Sue Roskopf. Ability MKE Now is where we are dedicated to inclusion, connection, community, bringing people together, and being relevant to everybody. That is exactly what we do here. We are bringing people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together, enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We all have our own experience with disability, whether it's our own, with people we know, or with people we encounter in our everyday lives. We all have different and unique abilities, and that is what we celebrate. Here at Ability MKE Now, we celebrate the ability in all of us. And I am going to just make sure everybody, I would hope by now, is well aware of the fun things coming up here on Friday night. On Friday, do you have your ticket yet? Because Friday night is when we have the wonderful opportunity to be on the water with River West Radio. Tickets are on sale right now for River West Radio's third annual Sunset Gala Cruise. It's this Friday, May 29th. Join us for an evening of food, raffle prizes, karaoke, and celebration on the water. And all the while, you are helping support the future of truly local, independent radio in Milwaukee. River West Radio depends on community support, and this is one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. So don't miss the boat. You gotta be there. Get your tickets now at riverwestradio.com. And I gotta say, we have been on that boat. We have joined in previously, and I can tell you, it is so much fun. The views are spectacular. The people are even better. You will love every minute of that boat ride and all the things going on while we're there. So please come and join us. I know we've got invitations out to a few friends that are local here that are hopefully going to be joining as well. But before they run out of tickets, please go find out all those details at riverwestradio.com. And tonight I have a wonderful friend, a longtime friend of the show, joining us here. And she's no stranger to any of us, and she truly is about acts of kindness. Her website is www.actsofkindnessseries.com. She is the one and only Marianne of Waikiki, and she's been with us for a very long time with what we do with here on the radio station, what we do podcasting with World of Ability Podcast Network. Marianne, I am so happy to see you. How are you?
Well, hola Milwaukee and aloha Milwaukee. Thank you so much, Kurt and Sue Roskopf, for having me on as a guest speaker today. And I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart with the Acts of Kindness series. The book club has been rolling along this past year of 2026 every Saturday on the podcast, the World of Ability podcast. We have been reading the Acts of Kindness series books that I have created because I'm the author and I created Apple Games. And these books are written with sign language characters and a soundtrack by Lucy Lynch and the Perfect Wave. And we are applying for a San Francisco grant for persons with disabilities, a film grant for up to $25,000 to bring these books into animation movies with Prestige Media Studios and to showcase where, with our partners such as Jay Stoyan from the Disability Channel out of Toronto, Canada, On the Mark TV in Phoenix, Arizona with 220 networks, and also nonprofit TV with Dr. Anthony Sardelli, who's showcasing these book trailers into Denny's restaurants. What a dream come true. And oh, by the way, your husband happens to be on the board of directors for nonprofit TV to make all of this happen. So I would like to just share the names of the books and some of the characters here. As you got to listen to the stories too, so now 2 out of 4 books you have heard. And we have had featured Santa Papa John in Minnesota, who is the storyteller every Saturday. and he has his own TikTok, and he also has a VIP session with your husband, Kurt Roskopf, and joining speakers. So, my first book is called Underwater Acts of Kindness, and it is dedicated to Boynton Slat of the ocean cleanup. He was a young European man that was coming up with these inventions to tackle the plastics and pollution, starting with a Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And now he's over worldwide with rivers and unbelievable with this. I don't want to say it's like a floating trailer that has a conveyor belt that will they'll suck up the plastics through these tubes like a vacuum. They're gigantic. Okay, think of the ocean, and it's just pulling up miles and miles and miles of depth of just soupy plastics. And how it all kind of started with this vision, I was guided through meditation at the Unity Church of Hawaii, where I was a sign language interpreter for over a decade for Mr. Scott, who lost his hearing at age 8. And this garbage was floating around the marina in the Honolulu, Hawaii harbor. And we wanted to know why. And so, um, my writer, Suzanne Sims, was a member at the church who was a playwright. And her first husband was the late Colonel James Shannon, who wrote the movie Men Who Stare at Goats, which was featured with George Clooney, which we came up with the New Earth Army. And so Lucy Lynch sang at their church with this angelic voice, and it all just started coming together. And I was going through ongoing upper cervical and vertigo challenges. So laying down and meditating and resting on the sailboat where I was, these ideas just popped up so easily, and the names would just come into my head. And I was walking down the mall with my deaf friend Scott, and we saw a tree of folk mantis puppets, and I could put my hands in there. I could put my hands in the gloves of a chicken, both hands, left and right, where I could sign with both of them, and it was hysterical. And in Hawaii, you see these chickens running all over the island, just out there. And so it was kind of funny. And there was a bee that I could put my hand in, and there was just other ones. So I was also reading an article from NOAA, National Oceanic Atmospheric Agency. When I first moved there, they had stopped a super ferry which went inter islands. And it was because of the marine life that it was affecting that they were losing some of their hearing. And I was like, how would you put a whale in a sound booth, Sue? How would you? How would you test a whale's hearing? But I'm reading the article. And the motors, the vibrations, all this, and cutting up, and it was an article, and they had an acronym named Splash. This was one of their projects. So that's how we started with the names of the characters of the book. Noah, Noaah, Noah, the hard of hearing whale, his wife Splash, his parents Alpha and Beta, and he comes down on a Hawaiian vacation, and they have a glow in the dark party, and he gets hit by a black speedboat named Bad Karma and loses his hearing. And he's non rehabilitated by a hermit crab named Dr. Fingers, the finger spelling hermit crab, who teaches them the ASL finger spelling alphabet, as well as Angelina Joyful Lay. She is an angelfish interpreter as well. Now, we have a lot of funs and puns with the names. And Splish Splash, I was taking a bath, right? Some of these old
Hmm.
songs will bring back your memories if you are a parent or grandparent reading these to children. So Noah then becomes recruited by a sea turtle called the General of the New Earth Army to tackle the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So that's the journey, and he's going to be a new father, and that's what kind of life is he going to have? How is he going to be able to provide food and shelter when some of his hearing is lost, and living in this garbage, plastics floating around, sea turtles getting straws up their nose, or getting caught in a 6 pack of plastic from a 6 pack of soda pops, and so these are things that were really happening, and we're really proud again to dedicate this book to Boynton Slat of the ocean cleanup. And they are aware of the book, and we've had some book sales out of the United Kingdom. So, Sue, Santa Papa John, and I read the first book. What did you think of this book? As you're as a marine biologist instructor, and you didn't know some of this, was aware of what's going on, and also your students graduate from you and they get to go do more graduate work in Hawaii. So tell me about your thoughts of listening to the story that we actually read, because this is what's happening in our world.
Yeah, it to me is absolutely mind blowing that there is this much of a problem out in the ocean, that there's all this garbage, and it's true. I mean, anybody wants to see what that looks like. I know there's pictures online, there's information. If you look for it, you'll find it because it's there. It's a real problem. And I gotta say, when the book was read, I thoroughly enjoyed how many pieces of what was being read. Not only is it a wonderful story, but there are those little nuggets in there that really, like mom and dad and those that have been around a bit are going to really enjoy the puns and the music references and little pieces that for the kids are just cute pieces, but for the parents it's that added bonus of, oh my gosh, I see what you did there. So it really is a wonderful book for people of all ages. I really enjoyed very, very much that we were able to do that on the podcast, to be able to share out a chapter a week and to go through the whole book that way. And now we've done two books, and they are so much fun. So it's amazing what has all come together with this. And I know you've got so you described one of the books so far, and I know you've got three more. But do you want to go ahead and share a little bit more about the other books too?
Sure, I'd love to. So I had the opportunity to actually sail 91 days, 1,700 nautical miles up the ICW with a Navy man friend, that they cleaned up the explosives around the Hawaiian Islands. So we want to give a shout out to the veterans, especially after Memorial Day. The work and service. I never knew anything about this kind of work, so I got to go along and be supported by this, and we support the veterans. And so when I came back, I ran into a special education teacher, Marilyn Rogers, who's retired now, and she told me about Donors Choose. And we sat
Hmm.
down at Starbucks and we filled out an application. She requested 50 books and she posted it. And we were fun in the classroom, and we went on to the campus, and the kids are already read the book and they're coming up to me, where's Fingers? Where's Dr. Fingers? And I brought all the little puppets up there and we passed them around the classroom. I taught the ABCs and sign language, and the principal was there. The other teachers came in, and we were the talk of the town. Is like the sophisticated hula, is what they say in Hawaii. So, and the message was, look down on the ground. If everybody does 10 pieces of plastic, look at the bus stop, look at the beaches. Look outside your garbage cans. We have horses that come over to our garbage cans now and like to graze off of it, and it
Oh
leaves a
boy.
mess. And I'm picking up plastic soda um, rings, and I'm bringing them to my house and cutting them up with scissors so that they do not get out there, because turtles and other sea creatures can get entangled with it. Pelicans, bird life, anything. And, so that stimulated again was the second book, Rabbit Acts of Kindness, No Bully, because Lucy was singing at the church, and her and the Perfect Wave came out with another album, and the song Forgiveness comes into mind. And so we wrote Rabbit Acts of Kindness, No Bully with my deaf friend. And it starts out at a classroom. And Harry, the hard of hearing rabbit, realizes he's special. And Auntie Renee gives him a plumeria lay behind his ear on May Day, Lay Day. That's May 1st. And so he's walking home and he gets bullied by a bullfrog named Rippet and a female French bulldog named Felicia. And he gets kicked off the rock and he meets a turtle named Tico, where he swims him over to Rabbit Island. Now, there really is a rabbit island on the island of Oahu off of Sea Life Park where we did some shows there too with the musicians, myself, the puppets on Youth Day. I mean, so go out and play in Hawaii. They do a lot of events, first day birthday luau's. And so
And I know there's a quick sound issue here. I just want to make sure if I'm not sure if I froze or if Marianne froze, but yeah, the
special,
it go
other
ahead.
special care
Uh Again, I'm not sure if it's my
off of Hawaii.
oh,
And then they encountered the bullies, and we find out the bullies didn't know sign language and they just wanted to be of service. And we have a magical parade and a first birthday luau party. So, again, how much fun and activities. And we also created 3 coloring books through this journey. Suzanne and I helped me design them. And I created a YouTube channel where you can visit and learn the 26 letters of the ASL fingerspelling alphabet at your home. And it's for all ages of the heart. Now, Sue, you tell me about your experience with baby sign language and your daughter. Because children who learn sign language tend to cry less and they have a higher IQ as well.
Yeah, sign language is something that I think is incredibly underrated. It is so easy to learn just a few basic signs that I got to give a lot of credit to the daycare that we had taken our daughter to when she was a baby. That is something that they promoted was using just some basic signs, things like milk and more, and there were. I'm trying to remember how many different signs we had. It wasn't actually very many. I'd say it was less than 10, but we could communicate. So before she was old enough to have verbal language, she could communicate. We could communicate with each other with using signs. I mean, she could understand words. You know, like kids are they're starting to understand words, but are not old enough yet to be able to speak words. They're still smart in there. They can communicate. They just didn't have, they don't have the verbal language yet to use. But kids, something like milk, it's literally like squeezing your hands together into fists. That kids can do that. She could tell us what she wanted. It wasn't this mystery of, okay, baby's crying, what do they need? It's truly what give them that power. They can have that power to be able to communicate with us. We just need to give them the tools. And something as simple as signing is a game changer. So that is something that the parents I think um I sure hope discover that somewhere along the way, that is an option so that the communication can happen sooner than you think. And who doesn't want to communicate better with their children, right? That is something that is such a valuable piece, such a valuable tool, and help connect you with your child. And oh, it's a wonderful piece to add as kiddos are learning. They learn so fast. It doesn't take much to get them to understand what those signs mean. So, and I gotta say, I've got another quick story too, as far as with signing. Learning the alphabet is so valuable. I actually had in a
And so
previous job, I had a gentleman that was a custodian there that was deaf, and it was a struggle to try to communicate, right? Because he knows sign language, he can't hear me. I can try talking with him, but he tries to read lips. But it was so simple for me to just print out a piece of paper that has the signs for the 26 letters of the alphabet, and I could spell things out. He taught me some basic things too, so that we could to help us communicate. But it's not hard. It just takes. It's like truly, it's learning another language, right? And how many of us took a foreign language in high school or junior high? Why not take ASL? Why not understand signing that way? It's actually kind of fun. The more you learn, the more you know. And a little inside tip on us. To this day, I can be across the room. Typically, this happens like if we're at a restaurant or someplace where there tends to be like a buffet or that type of thing where we can be, my daughter and I can be across the room from each other, and without actually being close enough to talk to one another and ask, do you want something, or look at this, or we can sign, we still do that. We sign to each other from across the room to convey messages about, make sure to see this, or do you want more of this, or how many. We all do a little bit of subtle signing, I think, even just the okay sign or a thumbs up. That's all signing. It's the same concept, just learning more tools to put in your toolbox.
Exactly. So also too, we're born into this world and we are, born into diapers. So we're basically telling, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, change my diapers, mommy and daddy, our basic needs. And later in life, we may be in a nursing home, a caretaking facility, expressing to a nurse and the staff, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, change my diapers, I need more medicine. And the sign for pain is just you can do pain for a headache, pain for a knee ache, pain for an elbow ache, and it expresses I'm hurt, something's going on. And yes, it's a visual. And so yeah, and it's just you can just continue to learn, and high schools do offer it for a credit, and people can choose to go on with a degree such as I did. I commuted to Lansing Community College after graduating from audiology school, communication disorders, and I got my certificate and I got grandfathered in to be a case manager with the deaf 30 some years ago at a mental health agency called Transitions Community Support Programs. And in July, we'll be celebrating 36 years where President Bush signed the American Disabilities Act. So, wow, I can't believe it. I can talk about it. And my own hearing loss too after a car accident and experiencing vertigo and requesting a sign language interpreter. That is everybody's divine right to have one there.
Hmm?
And, the responsibilities of the children of deaf parents is called CODA. They're children of deaf adults that take on that role to actually interpret for them all the time and sign for them and go to doctor's visits where we have certified interpreters to do that. And it's a lot of work. I mean, and they trade off. You have to trade off like every 20 minutes because it takes a lot of toll on your mind, body, and spirit. And I'm having wellness now for my neck and my back and relieving my vertigo. And they asked what kind of career he had. I know everybody uses their hands or does physical. It takes a toll, and you just got to say, I can't do this anymore. And so, but it's grateful that we are getting it out there, and the vision is to bring them into animation movies because no one has done that with sign language characters.
Hmm?
And they're real stories of what's happening around our world. And we can get the books into the classrooms from donorschoose.org. And yeah, and so we roll over to the summer in July. We'll be breaking out my third book, Righteous Acts of Kindness, featuring Pono, the Hawaiian polo pony. It's a shorter book because it's not really written for animation movies with the soundtrack like I did the first two. And but we have coloring pages in it because it was a short book. Amazon required additional pages, so I put more activities in it, some coloring pages. But Pono has a deaf rider, and it's his journey of the days of the week being on the polo field. So on the North Shore of Hawaii, there is the Equus Hotel, and Mike Daly manages that. So we used to go out to the polo field on Sunday fun days and watch them. And this pig thought he was a horse in the polo thing. So when they came to do the beginning ceremony and blessing, and Lucy and the Lynch played out there in the music, this pig would sit in the middle of the horses and the polo riders and think that it was part of the polo club. So we have a pig in the book in honor of the pig. So
I
many
love that.
animals to so go out and play. And we have the Hawaiian blessing song. Lucy's song is go out and play. I write tagline, so go out and play as our message. So everybody wants to be able to so go out and play with these messages of peace, love, happiness, and thanks. And rolling over to the fourth book that we finished, but the real series is for ocean cleanup, anti-bullying, and climate change. This book is dedicated to Leon McLaughlin Clean Water Foundation out of Seattle, Washington. I met him over there in Honolulu. I was introduced to him, and I said, "Yeah, I wrote this first book," and I gave him a copy of it. And I said, when you fly back to Seattle, you're going to fly over the Great Pacific Garbage Patch." So this book talks about it. And we followed up with each other. We did some photo shoots. He was staying at the Equus Hotel where Auntie Renee was, and I stayed. And so we continued to multiply this acts of kindness. So we wrote Cool Acts of Kindness dedicated to Leon McLaughlin. We just finished that book with Santa Papa John and myself reading it. And we're being recognized by the United Nations from World Water Day. And so just good things are happening. They're going to, in the future, they're going to be bundling these books into some locations. We're excited to share that when that happens and to get them out there into the world. So, yeah, so it was been a learning journey to not only write one book, characters' names, to get copyrighted, to use graphics, not illustration, to get them uploaded to Amazon, to go into studio in Manoa Valley to record the book during COVID, which took a day. And the funny thing, Sue, I had a sty in my eye, so it was hard to read across. And
Oh
when
my
I got to
goodness.
one point with Bobby the box fish crying about the garbage and all the sick fish, and I was like literally crying because I had tears because my sty in my eye. So it's a good vocal sound of me, and we hope to multiply that over into Prestige Studio with Brennan Williams. Later this year, we are applying again for a San Francisco film disability grant to use it for screenplay writing. We could receive up to $25,000, so we're holding our hands for that. And so yeah, so then in July of 2024, Suzanne Sims told me about Awesome Foundation grant in Hawaii. She received $1,000 to write Thrift Store the musical, and I won. And we won $1,000. So we hired Jay Stoyan of the Disability Channel out of Toronto, Canada, to interview me for several months. And also, we gifted in October of 2024 the Hawaii School for the Deaf and Blind a water unit value of $150 with Leon McLaughlin. Now, he was there in Hawaii, he was on campus. I set up the Zoom meeting with Kurt Roskopf, your husband, and our
Mhm.
podcast engineer, Emily. And I was on Zoom because I was traveling to Canada. And so Leon was there. We had the deaf principal as well as the sign language interpreters and the elementary children's there to receive the second book, Rabbit Acts of Kindness, No Bully, and the coloring books with Chelsea the Courageous Sign Language Chicken, Eve the Finger Spelling Bumblebee, also Folkman as puppets. So it was a great experience, and we want to multiply the acts of kindness. And I did win a second one in Minneapolis for the Minnesota School for the Deaf with a librarian to get the books into the schools. And we just applied for another one in North Minnesota, and we videotaped that this time, and hopefully that they will approve it, with storyteller Santa Papa John for the Lucy Craft Elementary, which has 500 children and 100 special ed, where we can get that water unit into them. So that's the
And we
story of
wish
the
you,
acts of kindness.
I love it. So www.actsofkindnessseries.com. And for all of us here with World of Ability and Ability MKE Now, we thank you.